Hello, everyone, and thanks so much for tuning in on this final day of 2024. We're so glad to have you with us. And over the next few minutes, we'll take you from the United States and around the world, covering all the top stories of the day. But before that, here's a look at the latest headlines. In a setback against incoming U.S. President Donald Trump, a federal court upholds the $5 million verdict in the E. Jean Carroll sexual assault and defamation case. Beijing rejects accusations of a state-sponsored cyber breach at the U.S. Treasury Department after Washington says Chinese hackers managed to access some Treasury workstations and unclassified documents earlier this month. Chinese President Xi Jinping promises to promote world peace in a New Year's message to his Russian counterpart Vladimir Putin. The Chinese leader also hails mutual trust and strategic partnership between the two countries. Ukraine's largest mobile operator signs a deal with billionaire Elon Musk's Starlink to provide satellite-based cellular service in the war-torn country. The move aims to place Ukraine's telecom infrastructure beyond the reach of Russian attacks. And Trinidad and Tobago declare a state of emergency after a weekend of violence took the number of killings this year to more than 600. The dual island is one of the most violent countries in the Caribbean owing to a rising criminal gang activity. We begin in the United States, where Indian-American Congressman Shri Thanedar has strongly condemned the growing Hinduphobia and racism in the United States. This after Thanedar, who represents Michigan's 13th congressional district as a Democrat himself, became a target of hateful comments over the weekend.
Racism in America is still alive and well, and we must stand up to it together. Just read the replies to any recent post that includes H-1B to see the deplorable rhetoric targeting Indian Americans. That's why I introduced a bipartisan resolution condemning all Hinduphobia.
In his latest remarks, the congressman was referring to his previous post about the H-1B visa, a non-immigrant visa that allows American companies to employ foreign workers in specialty occupations, and has stirred a massive controversy in recent days. Just last Thursday, Thanedar voiced his support for the visa program and advocated for increasing legal immigration in the U.S. to maintain the nation's competitive edge and innovation.
As a member of Congress, I've pledged to work across the aisle. Unfortunately, the H-1B visa discourse has been hijacked by MAGA racism and xenophobia. Attracting legal, talented immigrants to the United States benefits everyone, and the system must be streamlined and reformed.
The congressman, who was born in India's southern state of Karnataka, added that as an immigrant himself, the H-1B visa is close to his heart.
As an immigrant myself, the H-1B issue is close to my heart. By increasing H-1B visas and streamlining the H-1B and green card process, America maintains her edge on innovation and discovery. Reform of legal, skill-based immigration creates economic growth and more American jobs.
The Democrat said he's open to collaborate with incoming President Donald Trump and billionaire Elon Musk if they're truly serious about solving the broken immigration system. The congressman also recalled bringing a resolution in April denouncing Hinduphobia, anti-Hindu bigotry, hate, and intolerance. However, in response to these remarks, he was subjected to more xenophobic and racist comments on X, with some users asking him to return to India on a one-way flight. Notably, the lawmaker is not the only Indian American targeted by anti-immigration groups. Just last week, infighting broke out among MAGA supporters after Donald Trump appointed Indian American entrepreneur Shri Krishnan as a senior policy advisor on artificial intelligence. High-profile Republicans, including activist Laura Loomer and former Congressman Matt Gaetz, criticized Krishnan's appointment. They pointed out that Krishnan's backs easing green card caps and simplifying the process for skilled foreign workers to enter the United States, which contradicts the president-elect's agenda. However, another Trump appointee and Indian-American Vivek Ramaswamy came to Krishna's rescue and defended the H-1B visa program, though he was met with the same racist rhetoric. The immigration issue has pitted Elon Musk against MAGA supporters. However, Donald Trump later sided with both Musk and Ramaswamy in an effort to quash the infighting ahead of his inauguration. And in Europe, Russia has expressed outrage over the peace plan floated by Donald Trump's team to end the war in Ukraine. Speaking at a press conference, Russia's Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov rejected the proposal, saying Moscow is not happy with Trump's intention to keep the door open for Ukraine to join NATO.
Judging from numerous leaks and Donald Trump's interview with Time magazine on December 12th, their idea is to suspend hostilities along the line of contact and transfer responsibility for confrontation with Russia to the Europeans. We are not happy, of course, with the proposals made by members of the Trump team to postpone Ukraine's admission to NATO for 20 years and to station British and European peacekeeping forces in Ukraine.
Moscow's criticism came days after Trump gave an interview to Time magazine. During the interview, Donald Trump did not elaborate on his official peace plan, but slammed Ukraine for using American missiles in Russian territory. He said vehemently that he disagrees with sending missiles hundreds of miles into Russia, and he also added that doing so would only escalate the war and make it worse. Trump also said Ukraine should not have been allowed to use American missiles in Russia. However, the incoming commander-in-chief did say that he would not abandon Ukraine and would reach a quick solution to the ongoing war with this undisclosed plan. He even went so far as to call President Joe Biden's decision, quote-unquote, foolish for allowing Ukraine to shoot missiles deep inside Russia. Meanwhile, reports have emerged saying Donald Trump is considering stationing European troops in Ukraine while delaying its membership in NATO. Moreover, Trump's pick for Ukraine envoy Keith Kellogg has suggested cutting off aid to Kyiv and threatening Moscow with surging weapons to reach a peace deal. However, Russia sees no point in a temporary ceasefire and wants a legally binding agreement for a lasting peace.
We cannot be satisfied with empty talk. So far, all we hear is talk about the need to come up with some kind of truce. And it is not particularly hidden that this truce is needed in order to gain time to continue pumping Ukraine with weapons, so that they can get themselves in order, carry out additional mobilization, and so on. A truce is a road to nowhere. We need final legal agreements that will fix all the conditions for ensuring the security of the Russian Federation, and, of course, the legitimate security interests of our neighbors, but in a context that will secure the impossibility of violating these agreements in an internationally legal manner.
Now, last month, reports said Vladimir Putin is open to discuss a Ukraine ceasefire deal with Donald Trump. However, the Russian leader does not want to make any territorial concessions and insists Ukraine drops its ambition of joining NATO. Now it remains to be seen how Trump will tackle Putin's lack of flexibility in negotiations to keep his promise of ending the deadly war in Ukraine on day one. And in the Middle East, Israel's military strategy in Gaza has drawn attention towards its unprecedented reliance on artificial intelligence. After the October 7th Hamas attack last year that killed over 1,400 people, Israel launched a massive military response targeting Gaza with airstrikes. And at the core of this campaign was a decade-long effort to integrate artificial intelligence into its operations that transform their intelligence units into what is now referred to as an AI factory. Now, central to this technological shift is a system called Habsora, which is Hebrew for the gospel. Habsora was designed to process immense amounts of data in real time, identifying patterns and suggesting targets with unparalleled speed. In the weeks following the attack, this system enabled Israel to bomb over 1,200 targets in Gaza. And the reliance on AI allowed the Israeli Defense Forces to maintain momentum even as traditional intelligence methods struggled to keep up.
The more ability you have to compile pieces of information effectively, the more accurate the process is. If anything, these tools have minimized collateral damage and raised the accuracy of the human-led process.
But the speed of AI has not come without some controversy. Now, according to a report by the Washington Post, decisions that once took hours or even days were reduced to as little as 3 minutes. Critics, including former Israeli military personnel, worry that prioritizing speed over thorough intelligence assessments has significantly increased civilian casualties.
It took the Intelligence Directorate years to achieve a bank of those kinds of targets, but what happens if you trained AI to imitate the work of the targeting officer?
And the Gaza conflict has seen the culmination of these efforts. AI-driven tools not only identified targets, but also sustained operations as the IDF's initial database depleted.
They really did believe with all the sensors they had all around and above Gaza, I won't say total informational awareness, but that they had a very good picture of what was happening inside.
Yet the stakes extend far beyond Gaza. Back in November, the International Criminal Court issued arrest warrants for Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and former Defense Minister Yoav Gallant for war crimes in Gaza.
This is a black day in the history of nations. The International Court in The Hague, which was established to protect humanity, has today become the enemy of humanity. This biased court decided to issue arrest warrants against me and against the former Minister of Defense Yoav Gallant, with the fundamentally unfounded accusation that we allegedly committed crimes against humanity, while the truth is completely the opposite. It is moral bankruptcy. It violates the natural right of democracies to defend themselves against murderous terrorism.
Meanwhile, as the global debate on AI and warfare continues to heat up, with calls for stricter regulations and safeguards to prevent misuse, Israel's AI factory continues to reshape modern warfare. And the question looms, can technology ever replace human judgment in decisions of life and death? It's safe to say that 2024 was the year of President-elect Donald Trump and his billionaire buddy Elon Musk. Against all odds, Trump navigated legal battles, assassination attempts, and political uncertainty, while Musk transformed from a tech mogul to a game changer in Trump's resurgence. The surprising partnership between the incoming president and the world's richest man reshaped the U.S. presidential race. It could possibly leave a lasting mark on the future of American politics. Here we explore how Donald Trump and Elon Musk emerged as the biggest winners of 2024.
"2024 was quite a full-course meal for America. With an election that could rival the spicy and exorbitant meal at any Michelin star restaurant. For starters, we had a variety of Joe Biden's embarrassing fumbles.
And now I want to hand it over to the president of Ukraine, who has as much courage as he has determination. Ladies and gentlemen, President Putin.
And Donald Trump's hush money conviction, coming to the main course. We were served with a spine-curling, cringy presidential debate with a side of a bloodied Trump. And who can forget dessert? When a zesty Kamala Harris scooped up the starry, glary celebrity vote, but was instead crushed by a bunch of machos. While this meal in itself was a lot to take, the richest man on earth, Elon Musk, continued to play sorbet. The tech billionaire bet big on Trump, emerging as the kingmaker recipe for the Republicans' political success.
Fight, vote, vote.
Today, we dive deep into the sweet, spicy, and bitter flavors of Donald Trump and his self-styled first buddy, Elon Musk. A new year brought old troubles back to Trump's overloaded plate. By January 2024, he was indicted 4 times, facing about 90 criminal charges. And by May, it seemed as if everything was falling apart. After the Republican was found guilty of falsifying business records, it was finally proven that the former president tried to hide hush money payment made to adult film star Stormy Daniels back in 2016. And with this historic verdict, Trump became the first US president to be criminally convicted.
It looks like the judges are going to allow me to escape this scam. It's a scam trial. If you read all of the legal pundits, all of the legal scholars today, there's not one that I see that said this is a case that should be brought or tried. It's a scam. It's a political witch hunt.
Many thought this would be the end of his political career. After all, who would want to see a convicted felon on the ballot? But Republicans still had faith. On 27th June, Trump clashed with Biden for 90 minutes, changing the course of the presidential race. The "please turn it off, I can't watch" debate featured a weak, stumbling and whispering Biden, who broke the dam of concerns about his second term. Next in line was the first assassination bid against Trump at a rally in Butler, Pennsylvania on 13 July. The image of Trump pumping his fist seconds after a bullet grazed his ear will surely wind up in history books, because that is when Elon Musk, who was once a Democrat, decided to fully back Donald Trump. And everything started working out for Trump. He rejoiced at the prospect of running against a frail opponent, while Democrats panicked over Biden's screw-ups.
Whatever happened to common sense in government? We've got it. We've got more than anybody's ever had. Meanwhile, the radical left Democrat Party is divided in chaos and having a full-scale breakdown, all because they can't decide which of their candidates is more unfit to be president: sleepy, crooked Joe Biden or laughing Kamala.
However, this euphoria was short-lived. Days later, Biden dropped out of the race and annoyingly endorsed his vice president as replacement. Enter Kamala Harris, who leaned heavily on memes and viral trends to woo young, progressive and liberal voters. Though what took stage was her gender and multiracial background, which Trump attacked repeatedly, along with a pinch of his anti-immigration and anti-abortion rhetoric.
This is what we're bringing into our beautiful country, our beautiful USA. This is what we're bringing. But we're bringing them in at levels that nobody's ever seen, and we're doing it by stupid people like Kamala. She's a stupid person. Stupid person. I don't care. I don't care.
By September, it was all topsy-turvy for Trump. First, he survived another attempt on his life while golfing in Florida. Then the Republican entered the fray against Harris, where he emerged as the weak one. And to top all of this, opinion polls started showing a humiliating election loss. It was this very point when Musk transitioned from a tech CEO to a patron for Donald Trump. Not many know that Musk wasn't always this cozy to Trump. 8 years ago, right before the 2016 presidential election, the Tesla CEO thought Trump shouldn't be the president. In 2022, Musk said the Republicans shouldn't run again. And in March 2024, the billionaire refused to donate money to a cash-strapped Trump campaign, though the fiercely growing right-winger changed his mind and endorsed Trump in July, when the former president had his first near-death experience. In the months to come, Musk would set up pro-Trump America PAC and donate well over $250 million to back Trump. The wealthiest person would also use his online clout, which mostly consists of the so-called bros, to put the MAGA movement back to the White House.
As you can see, I'm not just MAGA, I'm dark MAGA. Well, first of all, I want to say what an honor it is to be here. And, the true test of someone's character is how they behave under fire. And we had one president who couldn't climb a flight of stairs, and another who was fist pumping after getting shot. Fight, fight, fight!
By October, Musk turned into a fully fledged cheerleader for Trump. The SpaceX boss cameoed at his rallies, jumped and danced around him like a Roblox character, and excelled at being a leading figure in the Republican ground game. And for the final push, just a month before the D-Day, Musk launched a $1 million giveaway to voters, which critics deemed as an illegal lottery. On 5th November, when polls closed and tallies began, Musk spent the election night with Trump at Mar-a-Lago. In fact, he camped there for much of November, weighing in on cabinet picks, advising Trump on policies, and third-wheeling on his calls with world leaders. Within the victory week, the value of Musk's fortune peaked at more than $320 million, and the president-elect, too, seemed happy to play along. as he brought up the super genius billionaire in every speech.
Let me tell you, we have a new star. A star is born, Elon. Now he is. Now he's an amazing guy. We were sitting together tonight. You know, he spent 2 weeks in Philadelphia and different parts of Pennsylvania campaigning.
Musk celebrated Thanksgiving at Florida. He sat right beside Trump at the UFC fight in New York. The two even watched SpaceX's Starship launch together. It's almost like Musk became a right hand of Trump, a hand that is powerful enough to dismantle the federal bureaucracy and cut trillions of dollars from the government budget.
All government spending is taxation. So whether it's direct taxation or all government spending, it either becomes inflation or it's direct taxation. Your money is being wasted, and the Department of Government Efficiency is going to fix that.
It's safe to say that the connoisseur of rebranding has a lot to gain from the president-elect. And as long as the bromance between Musk and Trump continues to blossom, the first buddy might get a free pass for quite a lot of things from the second Trump administration.
And finally, from Canada, Justin Trudeau, once the face of modern Canada and a global liberal icon, now finds himself at the center of one of the most dramatic political downfalls in Canadian history. From his meteoric rise in 2015, fueled by promises of change and optimism, to his devastating collapse in 2024, Justin Trudeau's trajectory has been nothing short of a cautionary tale. Scandals, policy missteps, and a growing disconnect with voters have unraveled his image as a progressive trailblazer. With mounting public disapproval, international rifts, and internal party dissent, Prime Minister Trudeau's future is now uncertain. How did such a powerful leader with so much promise lose his grip on power? Our final report dives deep into the tumultuous year that Justin Trudeau just faced.
Canada is often celebrated for its breathtaking landscapes and multicultural society, and has always taken pride in its progressive politics. However, in 2024, the nation's political stage became a spectacle of unraveling promises and shattered ideals. At the center of this drama stood Justin Trudeau, a leader once hailed as Canada's golden boy.
It's an incredible pleasure for me to be here today before you to present to Canada a cabinet that looks like Canada. We have an awful lot of work to do in the coming weeks, months, and years. But I know that Canadians expected us to come together and put forward a team that is going to be able to deliver on the change, on the ambitious plan for this country that the Liberal Party ran on, and that's exactly what we are going to deliver.
From his meteoric rise to his devastating fall, Trudeau's journey from hero to zero is a cautionary tale of misplaced faith and political hubris.
I don't want to compare him with other men. He's the most handsome man I've ever laid eyes on.
Trudeau began the year under fire for a luxurious Jamaican vacation. Reports revealed that he stayed at a $9,300 per night villa owned by a wealthy family friend. Opposition leaders slammed him, with Michael Barrett calling it a free vacation from a Trudeau Foundation donor. However, Trudeau defended the $162,000 trip and accused conservatives of struggling with the concept of friendship.
My father was godfather to one of their kids. Their father was godfather to one of my brothers. This is 50 years of friendship. But, of course, we worked with the ethics commissioner to make sure all the rules were followed.
Fast forward to March, when Canada's diplomatic relations with India collapsed after already being in a freefall. Trudeau's September 2023 allegations of accusing India of being involved in the killing of Khalistani terrorist Hardeep Singh Nijjar were under global scrutiny.
There are credible reasons to believe that agents of the government of India were involved in the killing of a Canadian on Canadian soil. That is something of the utmost and foundational importance in a country of rule of law. in a world where international rules-based order matters. And we call upon the government of India to engage with us, to move forward on getting to the truth of this matter.
Allies questioned the evidence, with even New Zealand's Deputy Prime Minister calling the claims unfounded.
As a trained lawyer, I look okay. So where's the case? Where's the evidence? Where's the finding right here, right now? Well, there isn't one.
And India's firm rebuttal further exposed Trudeau's weakened international standing. What began as a bold accusation now seemed like a reckless gamble.
So, we have seen those comments of the Prime Minister Trudeau that he believes in one India policy. But so far, the actions that we have requested against anti-India elements who actually go against one India, who call for dismemberment and disunity of the country, who espouse separatist ideology, no action has been taken. So, in a sense, there is a difference. There is a gap between action and words here.
And then April brought more turbulence. Trudeau confessed to considering quitting his crazy job, but instead of stepping aside, he pressed forward. He announced tighter immigration controls, citing Canada's inability to handle an influx of temporary residents.
Whether it's temporary foreign workers or whether it's international students in particular that have grown at a rate far beyond what Canada has been able to absorb.
And critics saw the U-turn on migration as a desperate attempt to deflect from Trudeau's growing list of failures. When Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi was re-elected in June, Trudeau congratulated him, but added a pointed call to discuss serious issues. Prime Minister Modi's measured response, emphasizing mutual respect, highlighted Trudeau's inability to navigate sensitive international relationships. His attempts at diplomacy appeared clumsy and insincere, further isolating Canada on the global stage. August saw Trudeau's popularity plummet even further. His decision to slash the number of temporary foreign workers ignited nationwide protests, with Indian students leading the charge.
Mark Miller said recently that international students think that it is their right to come study here in Canada. It's not a right, it's a privilege, is what he said.
Once a champion of immigrant communities, Trudeau now faced their ire. The demonstrations underscored his growing disconnect from the very groups that once formed his core support base. September delivered a blow to Trudeau's government. Jagmeet Singh's New Democratic Party withdrew its support, accusing the Liberals of betraying voters.
The supply and confidence agreement with Justin Trudeau. Today, I notified the Prime Minister that I've ripped up the supply and confidence agreement. Canadians are fighting a battle for the future of the middle class. Justin Trudeau has proven again and again he will always cave to corporate greed. The fact is, the Liberals are too weak, too selfish, and too beholden to corporate interests to fight for people. They cannot be the change. They cannot restore the hope. They cannot stop the Conservatives.
The move triggered a no-confidence vote, and Trudeau's leadership teetered on the brink. Whispers of dissent within his own party grew louder, with calls for his resignation gaining momentum.
The message that I've been getting loud and clear, and more strongly as time goes by, is that it is time for Trudeau to go. And I agree.
With mistakes and missteps mounting, Trudeau didn't back down and went on to make more claims against India, of course without any proof.
I believe India has made a monumental mistake in choosing to use their diplomats and organized crime to attack Canadians, to come and make Canadians feel unsafe here at home, and even more so to create acts of violence and even homicide. This is unacceptable.
in the aftermath.
And then came the month of realization. With a baggage of mistakes and in a bid to quell criticism, Trudeau acknowledged the presence of Khalistani sympathizers in Canada, but insisted they didn't represent the Sikh community as a whole.
Prime Minister. Mr. Speaker, since I just answered that question in French, allow me instead to take a moment to condemn unequivocally the violence we've seen in South Asian communities across the country over the past few nights. Let me be very, very clear. The individuals who are inciting violence and division and hatred in no way represent either the Sikh community or the Hindu community in Canada. At a time of Diwali, Bandi Chor Divas, we're seeing communities come together to celebrate their diversity and their strength. We will continue to stand for the unity of Canadians.
The remarks pleased no one. Critics accused him of pandering, while international observers saw it as another example of his inability to take a definitive stand. With realization came a dual crisis. As Trudeau admitted to mistakes, he faced a fresh challenge as Donald Trump threatened devastating tariffs on Canadian exports. Trudeau's frantic attempts to avert an economic fallout revealed a leader struggling to keep his head above water. As 2024 drew to a close, Trudeau's political unravelling was complete. Deputy Prime Minister Chrystia Freeland resigned, citing irreconcilable differences. Her departure marked the first open rebellion within his cabinet. Public protests grew louder, with chants of "You've ruined our country" dominating the streets.
You've ruined our country! You're done! Walk away! You don't have an ounce of your father's integrity! At least he walked in the snow!
Playing on the same notes, even the opposition didn't hold back. In its closing question period before a month-long winter break, the House of Commons reverberated with discord as Trudeau's political opponents lambasted the Prime Minister for the recent upheaval and for posting a $62 billion deficit for the year.
People are right to be angry. They've got a Prime Minister who's more interested in protecting his own job than defending Canadians against Trump. We've got a Prime Minister who's failed to defend workers from rich CEOs that the Conservatives love, who continue to rip off Canadians and drive up the cost of food and homes. The Prime Minister has failed. For New Democrats, it's always workers first and not CEOs. And not CEOs who the Conservatives want to defend. So will the Prime Minister acknowledge he has failed? He has to quit.
Justin Trudeau's future hangs in the balance. Will he step down gracefully, or will his party force his hand? The Liberals face an uphill battle to rebuild their credibility, while the Conservatives stand ready to capitalize on the chaos. But one thing is clear, that Canada's political landscape is poised for a seismic shift. Justin Trudeau's journey from global darling to 2024's biggest loser is a sobering reminder of the perils of unchecked ambition and unfulfilled promises. Once the poster boy for progressive politics, Trudeau now stands as a cautionary tale of hubris and the fleeting nature of political glory. As Canada braces for what comes next, one question remains: how did the golden boy fall so far, so fast?
That does it for us today. Thank you for allowing Firstpost America to be one of your most trusted news sources. We wish you all a very safe and a very prosperous new year. Donald Trump's return to the Oval Office is imminent. He will soon take the oath of office and once again lead the nation.
God spared my life for a reason.
President-elect Donald Trump's first priority tackling illegal immigration and securing the nation's borders.
We're going to fix our borders.
The incoming administration has prioritized the Russia-Ukraine war. Can they succeed in ending one of the world's most challenging conflicts?
I will have the horrible war between Russia and Ukraine settled.
And as he returns to the White House, will Donald Trump resume a bruising trade war with the world's second largest economy, China?
If China or some other country is behaving badly,
We have things called tariffs.
All of this and more right here on First Post America.